Hey, thanks, Peter. Let me take you through a TZ presentation about what we're doing as a business and what the outlook looks like for our company, and what the tailwinds are and why our company is expected to grow with the changes that have happened in the marketplace itself. Obviously, first disclaimer, standard disclaimer sheet. But let me quickly talk about what we do in a nutshell. And what we do in a nutshell is we are a software engineering business that's centered around access control of physical spaces. And the access control is done via software, and the physical space is done via smart locking technology. And I'll explain what I mean by that in the coming slides. What I'm going to talk about is what I'm doing that's changed in the business that's going to allow the business to grow in the areas that we're going to focus in. One is our software platform and what we're doing with our TZ Core software. The other is our user interface. And then the last one is what we're doing as we've changed our business model. At a very basic level, we have a smart locking device that we make ourselves, and we have software that controls not just the smart locking device, but all of the mechanisms around the smart lock technology itself. And ultimately, what we do is open and close locked spaces. TZ has got fantastic blue chip customers, for example, like Apple and Microsoft and Netflix and others. We really do have a who's who of a customer base. And in that, it's a testament to what the technology is and does. It's not easy to get into these companies with your software. Their due diligence is very stringent, very tough to be able to sell and supply software services to these type of global tech companies. So it is a testament to the technology that we have. And we do have absolute blue chip global customers. One of the first changes that I made at TZ was we've moved from just our own locking devices and I've allowed the software to be opened up to use on any smart locking device. So people can write APIs to our software, or we can write the APIs ourselves to any third-party smart lock technology. And that we've done that for a specific reason, and the reason is that it opens up new customers to us and it opens up new channels and significant channels to us. As an example of that, we recently won a project with Netflix, who was using someone else's lock technology, but they needed the software and how we could deliver the software to get the control systems in place that they needed to get the productivity they wanted, the solution they wanted. So it was a good example of winning a new customer who was not an existing smart lock customer of TZ's. That partnership is now being taken into other customers. That particular partner is taking us into other companies around the world who are using other lock devices. So it's one of the reasons why I took that as a first step for the organisation. In a review of the business, the board did a great job in stabilising the balance sheet. We had some $12 million of debt in the last over 12 months ago. That debt has now been brought down to zero. And that's given us around an additional $1 million of free cash flow. I'll explain what we're doing with global expansion in a moment and what we're doing to enhance our software. And we're also we've done a hard pivot to cloud, and I'll talk about that a little later on in the next few slides. I took over from Scott. Scott's mandate was to put some efficiencies into the business. He did that through deploying an ERP system and a CRM system. That is about 50% deployed now. We're still in the process of getting that through. These things do take time, but we're well and truly in that process now, and that's gaining more visibility for me and the management team in the business to understand what's happening in supply chain, understanding what's happening with forecasting, obviously with our financials, et cetera, et cetera. My mandate is to grow the business, and I'll explain how I'm going to do that. I've been in technology my entire life for the last 30 plus years. Own my own companies, or one of the original people who joined Cisco Systems in the early 90s, and have done a number of startups out of Silicon Valley myself. So I'm well versed in the tech space. So let me just talk about what we're doing for 2022. And I'll firstly talk about platform. And what we're doing here is, as I mentioned earlier, adding Device Connect to our software stack allows third-party devices to come in, which is expanding our market, as I touched on earlier. The next area is enhancements to our software. Right now, as a company, we are inundated with our customers coming to us, asking us for new features, new use cases, new workflows. And so we are racing to keep up with the demand of our existing customers wanting us to do more and more in their environments. The other part that we're doing is we are scaling out the software so it can scale better, so it can be easier deployed. The quicker we can have deployments, the more we can get customers onboarded. And we're modularizing our software at the same time so that we can switch services on and switch services off and charge for different services on an as-needs basis. We're also migrating customers from our perpetual license platform to our software as a service platform. And the ability to do that will be by all of our new feature sets will be developed on our software as a service platform only, and not on our perpetual license stack. And also we'll be providing that software license in a multi-term basis, which I'll touch on in a moment. Third-party device in TZ Core is what I explained. And UX and UI stands for the pretty pictures you see in front of your screen, but also how the workflow works behind the scenes and how you use the system. And we're spending money on enhancing that to make it easier and more deployable for our customers. One of the big changes that I made to the business is changing everything to a recurring revenue. And we've basically, the two largest software revenues will be our software. Two largest revenues for the company, I should say, will be for our software and our devices. We'll continue to be in the device business, but we will develop high-value devices where we can maintain a margin of over 50%. And we see our software margins maintained at around 80+% going forward. What we're doing for recurring revenue is all of our perpetual license software is going from perpetual into recurring, and that will be a 1-year license agreement or a 3-year license agreement or a 5-year license agreement, either paid yearly advance or quarterly in advance. We've already started this process, so we're already seeing our APAC revenue grow, and that's what that slide is representing. And then we have just pushed this into our US market, remembering that the US represents around over 60% of the company's revenue today. And so we are deploying our SaaS model into this market as we speak. Our customers are well attuned to this, the market is well attuned to it, so we don't see any pushback outside of in the US market for what we're trying to achieve. Here's some SaaS contracts that we've won in the last 45 days. Netflix, which I mentioned, Apple was an upgrade, Starbucks, CSL here in Australia, Suncorp in Australia, as an example. From a pipeline perspective, an example of some of the pipeline that we have sitting there. But if I share with you what the pipeline looks like, our pipeline today sits at $90 million. And if I use the same pipeline for the same period last year, it is 4 times that. And I'd like to tell you that it was me who was the genius who created that, but it's actually not. It's the change that's happened in the market. And, the reality of the change that's happened in the market is the change is here. It's not going to happen. And COVID has collapsed that change to our benefit. And that boils down to a number of key principles. One is e-commerce is mainstream for everybody globally now. The hybrid workplace has changed forever. We don't know how many people will work from home forever, but we do know that people will go back to the office, whether they go back 4 days a week, 2 days a week, 4 days a month. And that workplace has changed, and we benefit from that change in workplace because of what we're offering from our locker facilities inside the corporate workplace. Contactless is here to stay, and our revenue is driven by contactless transactions through the tracking of assets, through IoT devices, and doing it in a highly secure way. So those changes are here, and we don't see that slowing up anytime soon. So they're the tailwinds that we really do have happening with us at the moment. And so that's just a really quick snapshot for TZ and why we're seeing the growth that we are as I speak. Thanks, Peter. Back to you.